Okay, so let me just refresh Slave Squad just to be sure that it's streaming in there before I dive in. Okay, yeah, we're good to go. Okay, so let me minimize this so I don't get distracted. Let's say hey in the chat. Let's wake up a little bit. I've got a hot tea and a cold drink because I'm getting over preschool germs. A lot of you know what that's all about. Hi, hello, Ash. Okay, all right, so we're ready to go. So tonight's a topic I feel really strongly about, and I'm super excited that we're kicking this off in the beginning of October because I think that's the most important part, is being ready for what's to come so that you can then enjoy whatever's to come for you in the holiday season, right? So the title of this call tonight is How to Crush Your Business and Still Enjoy the Holidays. And so what happens a lot with very motivated coaches is there just doesn't seem enough time in a month sometimes. And I think that's even more magnified in months specifically like November and December, when it does feel like there's less time in the month. And so, you know, I think it's really important as a business owner to, not that there's necessarily, in my opinion, such a thing as true balance. I do think there's such a thing as disciplining the way that we work our businesses to create a little bit more time freedom for maybe, you know, some holiday sort of, you know, traditions, or being more unplugged, or truly feeling like you're being present with your family and not in the back of your head worried about, oh, do I need to email this person back, or I didn't quite hit my goal yet, or is this squared away for Monday? So I've got quite a few slides because I couldn't cut it off. So I want to dive in and get going. But I think this concept is so important. So I want to really encourage you to take notes, not because what I say is, you know, gospel, but because what I say might resonate with you. And I want you to write it down so that you can have some space, you know, this weekend or next weekend to actually plan it out for yourself, right? And to think out how does this work for me? How do I want to implement this in my business? So I really want you to take notes, because we all know the chances of you coming back to this call, rewinding it and finding it are very low in the times that we live in. So just take notes now, whether it's on your computer or your phone or in a notepad. Okay, and I will share these. I always get that question. I'll share these in the group when we're done. Okay, so here we go. Let me grab my notes too. Okay, so how to crush your business and still enjoy the holidays, because you can do both. You just have to plan now. All right, so first things first is I think the way that we should approach this is just like any other legitimate business, right? We'll see in Target, or we'll see on Instagram some holiday marketing starting to come out, right? So like just like any other legitimate business, get the planning done now is your best friend, okay? So the more you know, the more your team will grow. And so that's also why I want you to take notes, because, you know, as we lead our teams, they are going to look to us and see, oh, what is Ariel doing? What is she doing in her business as she's preparing for, you know, the end of the year, Q4? And so the more you know as the leader of your team, the more your team will implement what you do, and as a result, grow. Okay, so the goal here is to listen and learn and find your way. Not necessarily is going to be my way, but I want you to find your way, and then of course pass it on to your team, but to do it now. Pass it on to your team now, right? I'm meaning this month in October. Don't wait until, you know, November to start to roll out a Thanksgiving team plan, or even a December team plan. So it takes a little bit more legwork, but to have a plan in your head is, I think, the most work. It's the hardest part, but once you've got that done, you're good to go. Okay, and then of course we put it in action. So my question when it comes to this, you might not be used to, maybe you are, but you may not be used to planning 2 months in advance of your business, right? That might not be necessary on a typical month to month. But I'm telling you, in the holiday season, especially an election year holiday season, it's so compounded. And people are distracted. People are sort of every which way. And it's really important that you ask yourself, what is your why worth? Meaning, if you're serious about business growth and, you know, honoring family time or holiday time, then planning ahead is your best friend. Okay, So your most common objection in the fourth quarter, I think, will be, I'm going to wait until after the new year to join you, right? If you've been a coach for a while, you might remember that from last year. This common objection of, I'm going to wait until, what you're doing is awesome, sounds great, yay, yay, yay. Whether it's business or fitness, they're saying, I'm going to wait until after the new year to join you. So that might be your most common objection coming up. And so that's okay. But what I want to sort of plant a seed for and help you work your mind around is truly now is the best time to be prospecting and growing your team and customer base. Why? Because of these perks, right? One, they can have, if it's business related, if they want to become a coach, they can have a debt-free holiday, right? Like we have a simple business model where you actually can earn, and I'll show you how to do it in a second. You actually can earn like $500 in about 10 days, and you say, I'll help you, right? So if having extra, holiday cash is motivating to them, then this might be something that you want to have a conversation about. The other thing is, this time of year, I think it's important to remember that so many people look for seasonal work, right? They pick up an extra shift. For me, it was at the hospital. You'd pick up some extra shifts, or you'd help out night shift just to get some extra hours, right? Some people work like a completely temporary position, like, at Starbucks or even Target or whatever, right? So seasonal work is very common, right? And so having this conversation doesn't have to be foreign. People are in holiday mode in terms of spending. Like, where's the money coming from? So don't be afraid to talk about that. Having, if a debt-free holiday is motivating to them, we have a simple business model where you can earn $500 in about, 10 days, and I'll help you. Okay, the other perk, sorry, my voice is already going. The other perk is the momentum that's going to be built now to bring success in the new year, as well as the sheer fact, and this might be new for some business owners, but it's important to listen. The momentum that you build now really gives way to your new year, because it's easier to steer momentum than to start it back up again. So think of your team, whether you have 2 working coaches or 1,500 working coaches, it doesn't matter. It's easier to steer the momentum that you've already got going versus having to start it back up again at the end of December or early January. Okay, and then my last perk is that you get a head start on fitness, right? Like, so many of us are accustomed to the New Year's resolution goals and talking about it and having them for ourselves, and it's all great. But the reality is, starting now as a customer or as a new coach on their fitness journey, it doesn't matter. You get a head start on your fitness. And to me, the most rewarding thing every year is heading into the holidays with a really great routine that you already love, right? I remember doing Transform 20 last Thanksgiving. My husband and I snuck out to the garage before we started cooking the turkey. And it was amazing because I felt so confident knowing it was only 20 minutes and I was going to get in and get out. And I was still going to, yes, I was going to enjoy Thanksgiving dinner, of course, but I already had a plan in place. I wasn't spinning my wheels on what am I going to do or how do I get back on track? It was already in motion. And so having a head start on your fitness and having a great routine that you already love is a huge perk in terms of truly making your New Year's resolutions actually happen. Okay, so when you're in conversation with these people, and I'm going to actually address the objection directly in a second, but when we're in conversation with people, I think it's important to remember that the focus should be on giving the gift of our programs and products, but also the gift of joining your team. I think, when I've talked to coaches about this concept in the past, it's pretty simple for them to get on board with the fitness component, right? Like, yes, that makes sense. Start the New Year's resolution deal like early. That makes sense. But they still shy away from the business, right? Either because they're not confident that the income's going to come for that person because it hasn't come for them in the way that they imagined, right? So there's doubt, or they lack the confidence in how to tell that person to get started. right? And so they hold back the coaching share, right? The invite to the team. But I'm telling you, and I know you know this, but I'm reminding you, I should say, that joining your team is just as much of a gift as our programs and our products. So keep that in mind. Okay, so there's really two parts to this call. And it's what I'm going to try to squeeze in here as much as I can, right? There's the first part of how to crush your business in this kind of season. That's just you, right? And then there's the second part, how to do it and still enjoy your holidays, right? So it's pretty compound, but I'm telling you, they work hand in hand, and I truly believe you can do it. So I'm going to tell you exactly what I do, and I'm going to give you suggestions on things I'm going to do differently this year. You guys ready? Let me know in the chat. Give me some love because my voice is struggling. Okay, let's dive in to how to actually handle this objection of, I'm gonna wait until the new year, or I'm gonna join you, but I'm just gonna wait, right? I already laid out the perks, which you already know. I already reminded you of the perks, right? So that should be worked into your messaging. But what would I actually say to this person? I would probably do it in voice memo first. And then I would say something like, I totally understand and respect your wishes, but I just want to share with you, just in case, now is actually a really perfect time to join us because you can earn some extra holiday cash, do a little bit of training at your own pace to set up for success now so that you're comfortable and ready to help a few people in what is often our most productive season, the New Year's resolution season. I'll match your pace whatever you choose, not to mention heading into the holidays, reaching fitness goals with a sustainable, healthy routine you already love is, to me, the most amazing feeling. That's what I would actually say. I might break it up into messages depending on who that person is that I'm talking to, but that's what I would actually say. And I would say it boldly, and I would say it with such conviction, knowing that what I have to offer will change their life. So this message might not be for you, but I want you to rework your own objection script ahead of time because you're probably going to get this message or this response. So I want you to rework it in such a way that sounds good for you. Okay, so where are we headed next? Okay, so mindset. Here are some main thoughts before we dive into like the practical stuff. Some main thoughts about like crushing your business goals during a holiday season. I believe it starts with the mindset that we have. What do I mean by that? So you might be convincing yourself that no one is interested in what I'm offering during the holidays, but I'm telling you that that's simply not true. I'm telling you that that's not true because I would have jumped at this if I would have seen it a couple months earlier. I joined in January, right? I was already thinking about my New Year's resolutions in November, right? We just all think like, oh, we'll just wait, we'll just wait, we'll just wait. But I was already thinking about it. It's simply not true that no one is interested. And many coaches sponsor their most productive teammates in these months because they're in that mindset of reflection, which I'll get to in a second. My challenge to you here before we dive into the practical, because if we don't fix this, it doesn't matter what tips I share next. If we don't fix this, we're still going to come up against a wall. Okay, you have to change your thinking about this season. You have to stop thinking about or assuming you know about people's openness to this, or about people's time availability, or about people's buying habits in this type of year, or this time of year, right? So it's simply not true. And also, like, as a little side note, just because you care about your business and helping people during this holiday season does not mean that you care any less about quality time with your family. You can do both. So I'm going to dive into this really quick, but I want you to really get the mindset piece. And you know, if you're already having that sort of mentality battle, then you know it's something you have to sort of visit and spend some time on. But it's simply not true that people aren't interested. They are. And our business model is set up perfectly for this as well. Okay, so the truth about this season is that your posture or the way that you approach this makes all the difference, right? So as a healthy reminder here, in November and December, those are the months that people gleefully go into debt and then spend all the rest of the next year paying it off, right? They are ready to buy. So it shouldn't be about whether or not people's buying habits are conducive to, you know, what you're saying. The way I see it is like they're already spending money, right? Obviously, we all know this. Probably spending more than they have, which is fine. That's their business. But why not offer them something to buy that will actually change their life? I gotta take off that annotation thing. Clear, all drawings. Okay. Okay, cool. Sorry, I got distracted by that little red line. Okay, so when you're saying, people are ready for this opportunity because this is a reflective time of year. It's not necessary, like, yes, it's January, but it's not just January. It's November and December too. People are already thinking about what are they going to change in their life? What are they going to start doing differently? What sort of opportunities are they looking for? So when we use language, when our posture is, I don't mean to bother you, or I'm sorry, or I know you have a lot going on, or I know the kids are out of school, or I know you've got Christmas shopping. All these like apologetic sort of, phrases or conversation styles, it just comes across as very, very self-conscious, and that you don't stand behind what it is that you're saying, right? So instead of apologizing either by words or by actions, be bold and be confident. It makes a big difference. So let me show you exactly how people, whether it's you or your teammates coming on, can truly earn with our business model that already exists, the $500 within, I would say, 10 days. And I'll tell you why I think that. Oh, it's okay. Don't worry about the annotation. I know it happens. No worries. Okay, so this is how it actually works. So I'm challenging us all to really adapt this model for our business every month, but it's especially important for those of you who would love to have a debt-free holiday, and for the teammates that are coming into our teams that would love to have a debt-free holiday. Now, of course, like, everybody spends varied amounts on Christmas, which is fine, but the reality is the model is here. So let's take 8 challenge packs, right? Let's say 8 people. If you were to help 8 people with a challenge pack in the month of October and in the month of November, this is what would happen. You would earn $50 commission times those 8 people, which is about $400 for just October. Then, because of our fast start bonus, which says if you sign 4 or 5, I forget what it is, 4 or 5 in 5 and 4 weeks, you get a $100 bonus. So that's $500. And then if you did that in October and November, that would be an $1,000 holiday bonus, right? Which would be remarkable for so many families. So even if you cut that and, you know, even if you don't do it both months, right? You have to help 5 people in 4 weeks and you get the additional $100 fast start bonus. So, I mean, it's built in, it's easy, and it's not only, and I'm gonna tell you why it's easy to do right now, but you could do this in 10 days if you plan for it. And I'm gonna tell you how to do it. In both months, if you did this, you would be earning an extra $1,000 that could go towards whatever you want to pay for in December or January, right? By strategically launching something that we already have or we already know is coming up. So how do you do that? And I'm going to go into more details in a second. But in October, obviously we can do this with 30-day breakaway, right? Coach launch was today. Customer launch is on the 19th, right? So 8 challenge packs between now and the 19th or the 20th would get you the $400 commission, a $100 bonus, which would be $500. Then you do it again in November. How would you do it in November? Well, we don't have a program launching in November. No, we don't. But we have Peppermint Mocha launching on November 2nd, which, no, it's not as much of a commission and there's not necessarily a fast start bonus, but it's a wonderful opportunity to get more product in the hands of our existing, our old customers and current customers, right? Or prospective customers. But the other thing is you can set up to do this again in December with 9-week control free, right? It's going to launch to coaches early December. It's going to launch to customers mid-December, right? So I see the chat, and I knew this was going to come up, but I didn't want to teach on how to do this specifically. I personally would only be talking about this in specifics in personal message, personally for me, just to be protective in terms of compliance, because you don't want to come across like, no matter how legitimate the business model is or this is, to an outsider reading it, it can sometimes just look really skeezy, right? It just can come across as really spammy, right? Unless they're a qualified listener and they already have told you or expressed interest in additional holiday cash. Would I talk about holiday cash? Yes, I would. Or a debt-free holiday? Yes, I would. I would qualify the person on my public social media account first, and then I personally would dive into details in the private message. That's how I would approach this, or email or whatever. Okay, so now that's done. There are multiple ways that you can really make the most of what is already existing. The other way that you could do this in the month of November outside of Peppermint Mocha is with 3-day refresh challenge packs. November, it should be on your radar, and we pray that there will not be any back order issues, yada, yada. But November is the perfect month to connect people with a 3-day refresh challenge pack, because it's post-Halloween candy. It's potentially have it in the house for post-Thanksgiving, right? So all that falls in November, right? So get them to order their challenge pack in November for 3-day refresh. You do a group with them. Maybe you start 2 days after, Thanksgiving, or whatever it is you want to do. I'm personally going to do one before Thanksgiving as like a candy detox thing. So you still have the opportunity in November to sell however many challenge packs. 3-day refresh is also really, really good for people who are not quite ready for an accountability group, right? And I'm going to dive into that in a second. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. But so this is how I would talk about it a little bit more. Do you want to earn an extra $500 in holiday cash? To the prospects that I've already been talking to, I might private message them and say something like, I know you've already been thinking about this. I can show you how to do it with the products that you're going to fall in love with, right? The current customers that are in your groups or previously were in your groups, you're using the products anyway. I can show you how to do it with the products you're already using as a customer. Or the coaches on your team, you're using the products anyway. I can show you how to do it with the business model you're already a part of. Just do this and this, and I'm here to help you, right? So is it flickering? I don't know. It's not flickering for me. It might be flickering, but it's not for me. I'm sorry. Okay. So that's how I would approach the conversation in private message, but don't just think of one group of people. This applies to your coaches, right? They might not understand that they could make an extra $500 every month throughout the end of the year, right? By helping people with what's already existing in our product catalogs and what's coming up. Customers, because they're using the products anyway, right? And then prospects, because they've already been thinking about joining you. Okay, so let's also remember and put it into perspective, because I know this is sometimes something to me that I giggle at, because we in terms of business, we work these holidays up. They're so important. They're like the most important thing to my family. I fully enjoy it, which is why this is so important to me. But Thanksgiving is a long weekend. Christmas is usually a long weekend for people. And New Year's is usually 1.5 days for people. All other times, people are usually working or doing their normal day-to-day things, right? So it's not necessarily this whole month, right? It's a long weekend for the most part. And so I think it's important to keep in perspective as well, which is why I think it's important that we just kind of plan out how our months are going to look, so that we don't mentally keep saying, oh, it's Thanksgiving this month. Yes, it's Thanksgiving this month, but it's in 3 weeks, and it's only roughly about 3 or 4 days for most people, right? So don't let that become this giant in your mind, preventing you from doing the work that you're passionate about. Okay, moving on. Here's a reminder. All business is conversations, right? Which is why if you keep avoiding inviting and building new connections, you will only see a small portion of what could be in your business. Business is conversation. And so do you know what most people do during the holiday season? They have less conversations. They talk to less prospects. They have less conversations with their team and less conversations with their customers. That's what naturally happens. right? And so of course we can all assume the result from that is decreased momentum, right? And more effort to get things back going again, like we talked about a couple slides ago. And so the goal here during this season is to increase the number of conversations you and your team, not just you, not a solo army of one, but you and your team, right? Double or triple the number of convos in November and December. You don't have to do it in a pushy, salesy way. You can just simply commit to increasing the number of conversations and connections that you're having with people. Don't allow that natural tendency to sit back and wait until the holidays, like some of your objections from your customers. A lot of coaches do the same thing. I'll sit back and wait until the holidays are done. But the holidays are only a long weekend, right? There's no sense in that. So let's move into like some of my top tips. Okay, so I think my top tip of it all, which is why I made it the header, and I'm speaking specifically to November and December. I truly believe the strength in crushing your business and enjoying your holiday is timing the cadence of it all. So I'm going to explain it all. Time the cadence of it all. The first thing you have to do, and I've been doing this for almost 8 years now, and it's worked every year, even in an election year, which we had 4 years ago. Treat November and December as if there are only 3 weeks, not 4. There are only 3 weeks in my mind in November and December. There are not 4 weeks. That fourth week does not exist on my calendar, okay? And you have to approach your business this way. I'll tell you why. You probably already know why. The last week is for the actual holiday, right? The last week of November is Thanksgiving, grocery shopping, preparing for guests, spending time with guests, cleaning up, whatever, right? Same thing with December, right? And same thing for October. It's just not as in my experience. I totally agree, Susan. It's just not as much of a thing as November and December can be in terms of checking out and really trying to, enjoy. Plus Halloween this year falls on a weekend, which I think kind of goes to our favorite. Oh, I totally agree, Susan. I'm not discounting that. I just think the gravity of it grows in November and December. So treat, and honestly, like I think I said this in the beginning, this is how I treat my month every month, to be totally honest with you, but it's much more important in holiday months, okay? So there are only 3 weeks, not 4. And so you must accelerate and front load your work. For example, Success Club, your goal date, not goal date, that's the wrong word. Your last chance date is by the 15th. The 16th does not exist for you when it comes to reaching your Success Club goal. It just doesn't exist. And so you must front load your work in such a way that you've got the goal that however many people you're wanting to help, whatever Success Club number you're working to get to, it happens by the 15th of the month or bust. So it's the mindset here that's the most important. Because if you say it, but you don't really mean it or align your action, it's not going to work, right? You're still going to be stressed out or give up because it didn't work out. But I'm telling you, you can hit Success Club by the 5th. Personally, my goal is the 10th, but I'm giving it that halfway mark, the 15th. And once you learn these strategies, you guys, in November and December, I guarantee you will want to carry them on to January, February, March, and the rest of the year. But you have to mentally be ready to say, you know what, the 16th does not exist to me when it comes to my Success Club goal of how many people I'm helping join my challenge groups in my team. Okay, so again, in all caps, as if the rest of the month does not exist. So this means that we have to pay attention to when we are sharing, inviting, and enrolling our customers and coaches. We have to consider our RSVP date deadlines for November and December accountability groups, right? You have to reverse engineer it. So like to me, I did it today. I had already done it, but I went back today so that when I'm ready to make my personal calendar, my team calendar, I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So for me, and I'm saying this is me, it doesn't have to be you, right? Peppermint Mocha launches on the 2nd, yay. But for me, for my December Fit Camp, my target deadline for RSVPs is on November 9th. It's on November 9th. And I do it on the 9th because I like to have 2 full weeks for my market, my audience, to listen to my stories, listen to the repetition, look at before and afters, ask me questions, follow up with them once or twice for them to be like, okay, yes, yes, yes. That's what I've learned over the last 7.5 years, that my market typically needs about 1.5 weeks to 2 weeks. And then I'm giving myself a buffer for shipping, not just in a normal, environment, but also because of holiday shipping. So technically that gives me 2.5 weeks. So if I have some stragglers coming in on November 10th, 11th, 12th, it's fine. They're still gonna get all their stuff in time. So you have to do that for your own business. When are your groups starting? And when are the RSVP deadlines, so that you can reach your Success Club goals by mid-month? Okay, does that make sense, everybody? Everybody good to go? Okay, next tip. This is so optional, but this is what I do every year. Consider combining your November and December fitness accountability groups. Consider combining it, right? Meaning you might already do this. Some of you do ongoing groups, which is great if that works for you. But I always do an ongoing group November through the end of December. Why? Because it's less work on me. It's less bouncing around, less chance to lose people in between holidays, getting them in, out, making sure everything's good to go. And it's a more collaborative effort that I can include my PS coaches in for me. So this is a way that we can band together as a team to lead and contribute positive energy to your groups, when sometimes it can be very distracting, not just for the coaches, but for the customers involved in the groups as well, right? So when it's less bumping around, moving around, more people potentially, that's a good thing in my book. So you share this responsibility and you get to each use your strengths. So consider combining your November and December fitness accountability groups. Carolyn, for me personally, I will start my December challenge group on Monday, November 30th. For me, that's what I'm doing, because I want my challengers to have a good 3 weeks before they start mentally checking out for Christmas. That's what I'm doing. So that's about what I do every year. I basically condense my groups that are normally a calendar month long, to about 3 weeks. The group still goes, but it's not, it's more casual check-ins, and it's just more like lighthearted. Okay. I'm almost through, don't worry. Okay, so the next top tip that I have is to preload and pre-plan your November and December, meaning get out your calendar in the month of October and decide, when are your coach info events? Are you going to do them any differently? Are you going to do the same that you've always had, which is fine? Or what are you going to do? Plan it ahead of time for November and December. Challenge groups as well, which probably goes without saying. But when are your groups starting? Without the dates of these things, you cannot reverse engineer to figure out how to get people on board in time. It won't work, because it'll just appear as if you're flying by the seat of your pants, which works for some people. But when you think of the people that you're inviting, it might not work for them. Like I've learned about my people, they need about 2 weeks to consider and ask questions and keep looking at before and afters before they're like, okay, yes. So the other thing that you might preload or pre-plan, if you want to, this is a different environment, but whatever, meeting for coffee with prospects, right? Like if you want to set up a coffee date or a lunch date or whatever with somebody that you'd really love on your team, plan it. The reason why I'm saying plan it is because if you've got it planned, you're not going to cancel it. It's going to be harder to cancel it than if you've already got it planned and on the calendar. And for a lot of people, that face-to-face is gold, right? And you get a chance to just catch up on life, invest in another person, and also share what it is that you're doing, whether it be fitness, business, whatever. The other thing is setting up phone calls with prospects. This might not be something that you've done before, but I would recommend it. Be an open book. Be more casual and conversational. If you're having, conversation with somebody online and it doesn't seem to be moving forward, maybe offer a phone call. Just see what happens, but set up these sort of prospect meetings ahead of time. And then lastly, and probably the most comfortable, meaning it's within your comfort zone, most likely, pre-plan the invite to learn more about your challenge group or your team with social media plans, meaning okay, when am I going to talk more about my November challenge group? or the 3-day refresh mini challenge I'm going to do. That's what I call it. When I do a 3-day refresh thing, I just call it a mini challenge because it's usually about 4 days, right? So when are you going to do that? Plan the social media out. Maybe you pre-film some stories and you pop them into a free app, or you don't. Either way, like Unfold or Mojo or whatever. Or you don't. You just film it and you have it in a folder on your phone and you're ready to go, right? Like getting a little bit more organized than maybe you've done in the past is a good thing. So this last tip is to pre-plan your invites to learn more about whatever it is that you're inviting to with social media, using maybe a third-party tool or a team resource that you have. You know, like my team has an ebook that we use sometimes. There's a really great video out there. There's all kinds of things. Maybe your team has a recorded Coach Info webinar or a sneak peek group. Use those things. But what I'm asking you to plan ahead for is what you're inviting to and when you're going to invite. Okay. The goal for this activity, you guys, for November and December would be to have 100 people, 100, actively interested in those things to learn more. Between going to your Coach Info event, meeting you for coffee, sending them a phone call, you know, asking if you can send them an ebook to learn more or a recording, that you want to have 100 people actively saying, yeah, I'm interested in learning more about that. Sure, I'll listen in. That's the goal, 100, okay? I promise you, when you do that, you're building the momentum for not only to end the year strong, but to start January in a wonderful place. Okay, we kind of talked about this already, but this probably goes without saying, but how can you crush your business now and still enjoy the holidays? Is being prepared for the launch of what we have coming up, which is Peppermint Mocha and 9-Week Control Freak. So the reason for this is for a nice healthy volume bump in November, potentially, you know, whether it's for you or from team volume, if you've got an organization underneath you, as well as success in December and January with the launch of 9-Week Control Freak. But too many people miss out on that sort of like crowd, like momentum, because they don't feel confident in talking about what it is that's coming out. So figure out your own thing that you want to talk about for Peppermint Mocha, right? It launches November 2. So for me, I've already told you this, I've shared all my secrets. For me, I'll back up 2 weeks and I'll start talking about it, right? So that's mid-October. So that's like in a week or two. So that gives me a week or so to figure out, okay, what do I want to say? Do I want to form on Google Forms, or do I just want to like tell them to email me or whatever? So I'm getting my plan together for Peppermint Mocha because I'm going to trickle in that info for about 2 weeks before it launches. That's how I do it. Again, I'm not telling you what you should do, but that's how I do it. Same thing with 9-Week Control Freak. So for me, it's like when we finish 30-Day Breakaway, I'm gonna focus on 30-Day Breakaway while I'm doing it and the results that I get or whatever, and then I'm gonna share how excited I am for the next program that's coming out. Right? And I'm going to start building that excitement. I'm going to talk about my experience in previous programs with Autumn. I'm going to talk about how excited I am to use a new piece of equipment in a program and how that always makes it fun for me. You know, I'm going to talk about just switching up the moves and the routines in general and how good that's always been for my physique and for my motivation levels. Sorry, getting a little amped here. Okay, so prepare. Right? Use whatever resources you can to prepare, right? And when the information comes down the line, whether it's in the program materials or if somebody's on a national wake-up call or in the Beachbody Champions page, do your very best to listen, just because that's going to help you solidify the bullet points that are most important to you so that you can start sharing the message that you want to your audience. But I'm telling you, just being prepared is the biggest hill to climb, but it's not that bad. Just have it on your radar. Right? Even for me, what I do is I even flip ahead to the month, right? So I'll flip to mid-October in my day planner, and I'll just put that as a task on one day. It's like, okay, research Peppermint Mocha, find some, you know, cute graphics, and figure out what I'm going to do about that, right? And maybe start to email previous customers or whatever. I'm just going to make a plan. I'm going to put it on my calendar ahead of time. Same thing with 9-Week Control Freak, right? I'm just going to say, like, you know, maybe I'll flip ahead a couple more weeks and I'll say, look in Coach Office. Is there any additional info that I can learn about 9-Week Control Freak, right? Or I'll go to some of the test group participants' pages and learn a little bit more about their stories. You know, it doesn't take a lot of time. Like Beachbody does an incredible job of highlighting and making sure everybody's in the know. It's just, you got to make sure that you take it and you make it your own, because that's the difference between someone who's just pushing sales and pushing, you know, stock photos, and truly like figuring out, why do I like peppermint mocha so much? For me, it's flavor fatigue, right? I love just switching it up. I love just like having something a little bit different, right? Now I'm a control freak. What specifically are you looking forward to? That's what your audience will actually listen to, and they're not going to swipe past. Okay, sorry. I guess I could talk about that a lot. All right, so crushing your business includes your team, right? So the first part is for your business, right? We talked about Success Club by the 15th. I'm almost done, I promise. We talked about Success Club by the 15th, right? So I think that's like very doable. Sometimes I have found that you will run into, I guess we'll see, because November is election month, but typically I find that November is, it's fine to me. And then December, I feel like I have to get a little bit more creative. In the past, that's how I felt, just being honest. Not that it's hard, but I've just had to do things a little bit differently. So giving incentives are a really fun way to do this. And it kind of just like captures the essence of the season, right? So you can do whatever you want to do with whatever budget. Well, not whatever budget, because you have to stay compliant. You can't gift people like $1,000 when they buy a challenge bag. But you can gift people. You know, last year I did, actually I think the last few years I only did 5 days of Christmas. I know some people have done 21 days of Christmas or 12 days of Christmas. But doing 5 days of Christmas is something that I really like to do. And again, you don't have to do it this way, but the way that I like to do it, I like to gift our own products. So I like to get, like last year, let me preface that with saying either our own products or products that are going to support like the vibe that I've got going on, right? So let me give you an example. So 5 days of Christmas I did, right? So 5 full days, meaning it was only between whatever date and whatever date. I can't do math right now, but 5 days only, 5 consecutive days. And so the way that I did it is anytime somebody enrolled with me as a coach or a customer with I call it Fit Kit because it works with my Fit Camp vibe, a Fit Kit or a challenge pack. On any of those days, they will be gifted whatever the gift is of the day, right? So one day was like a tub of collagen, right? It was newer back then. Like this year, I'll probably do collagen as well because I love it so much. And I'll also probably do pomegranate bevy because I love it so much, right? And then I might do energized sticks, or I might do something else, you know, like I might do, let's see, well, I don't know what I would do. I haven't really thought about it yet, but I might, like last year, I think I did a headband, or what else did I do? I can't remember now, but it's something fitness related or self-care related for me, right? So something that matches my personality, my brand, so to speak. I think I've done blue blocker glasses before. I can't remember, but anyway, it's fun, right? And it's a fun way to get more conversation started. Like, hey girl, I don't know if you saw, but we're doing our team's doing a 5 days of Christmas. It's kicking off on Monday and it's going through Friday or whatever days you want to do it. So let me know if that's something you're interested in. It's only lasting those 5 days and it's going to be really fun. Not to mention you're going to be included in our New Year's Fit Camp, right? So it's kind of like you get to break the ice, tell them there's something fun going on for the team. You can say team, it could be just you, whatever. And then they're also included in the New Year's group, right? The second thing that you could do, for the giving incentives, my advice is to do it early, meaning don't do it like do it early, like prep them at the end of November. I'm going to be doing this, whatever Christmas giveaway, or I'm going to be doing this fun gifting thing or whatever you want to call it. And then remind them often, daily even, daily, because not everybody's on social media every day or as often as maybe we are. So do it early and remind your audience often. Second tip in terms of like the gifting seasonal sort of thing is do some team contests. I personally love contests of any kind, doesn't really matter what it is, but ask yourself, what behavior do you want to modify within your team during the holidays? And then create a contest around it, right? So some examples might be, if whoever brings 10 people to the next Coach Info webinar, that might be the contest, they win. Or whoever adds 3 coaches this week gets entered into a raffle for this, right? Or whoever gets a sample pack in the hands of 10 people this week, or a weekender bag, or whatever we call them, right, wins. Or maybe there's going to be a special quick little t-shirt that you and your team do for any rank advancements in the month of December, or whatever, or within a week, right? For me, I think I'm going to do, so sorry, my team hasn't heard about this yet, but I think I'm going to do a contest for 3-day refresh completers, like fresh before and after pictures. They get entered into the raffle to win something, right? To incentivize doing 3-day refresh with their own personal results so that they can then talk about it with their network. Maybe you do something like whoever invites 100 people this week wins, right? Or just whatever behavior that you want them to do or modify, that's what the contest is about. So get the word out in October to prep them, and then use them as strategies to increase conversations. Okay, this is the last slide. So enjoy your own holiday. It all kind of works to this, but the reason you're able to simply enjoy your own holiday is because you are satisfied because you've done the work, right? In the 3 weeks of November and the 3 weeks of December, I'm telling you, nothing can trump. Trump is maybe not the best word to use right now, but you guys know what I mean. Nothing can beat self-satisfaction and being proud of the way you showed up for your business, right? You've already got Success Club locked in. So you're not thinking about that, the day before Thanksgiving. You're not thinking about potentially answering an inbox message, when you're Christmas, you're not thinking, it's just not on your radar at all. And also, especially if you do the combined accountability group, November, December combined, you have a plan for your current customers, and the next group for customers is already settled. It's already organized. The community is already vibing. It's already done, right? You've shared the work with your team by combining forces. You can relax knowing that you're ready and positioned for December and January because you took 15 to 20 minutes to learn about 9-week control free. And then you took 20 minutes to figure out how you were going to roll it out to your audience, right? Everyone is taken care of with clear deadlines and start dates. So you're done, right? It's like you have the flexibility to be done and enjoy your holiday in whatever way. Enjoy your long weekend, or or enjoy your whatever it is that you do with your family. You just enjoy it, and it's fine. And not that you wouldn't enjoy it otherwise. I'm not saying that. Like, family is always number one, but I think there's something really special about being able to fully unplug and be fully present with your family during whatever holiday traditions you do, while also knowing that you did amazing work to build a business, support a team, like support the customers that you have. It's an amazing blessing to be able to walk into the end of December, beginning of January, not feeling frazzled. I mean, just knowing that, okay, this is what's next. And so it's still possible. It's more than possible. It's very within reach. It's just the work has to start now. And so I think that's what's uncomfortable for some people, because again, they're not necessarily used to like planning 2 months in advance, but it's not too much planning, right? And it'll feel like a breath of fresh air when you're just done and you know what's going on in your business from day to day. Does anybody have any questions for me? Woo, sorry. Woo, any questions at all? You're welcome. No problem. Planning is my jam. And the cool thing about planning is your overwhelm lowers, your stress lowers. And when that happens, your team is not as overwhelmed or stressed. Your team follows suit. And that's, to me, the best way to work the business, right? You cannot always control the stress factors. You cannot always control when things don't work out properly with shipping or customer complaints or whatever. But we can control the way that we operate our business and the way that we plan ahead. So that is definitely, okay, sorry. Sarah, yes, on my team, it's in, if you just keyword search ebook, I've revised it a few times, you'll find it. I'll bump it tonight too. I'm glad it was helpful. How do you get inspirations and fresh ideas? I'm guessing you mean in posting. For me, it's all different sources. It's what I'm going through in my own life, podcasts that I'm listening to, audiobooks that I'm listening to, real books that I'm listening to. And then just like getting out of my house, which is important, you know, which I know is kind of complicated these days, but changing up your scenery, like going outside, like doing something different, to me gives me inspiration, helps me to switch up my scenery. But also like the people that you follow, like take account, and who are you following on social media? Are they inspiring you? Are they challenging you? Are they making you think of different things? If not, then you probably need to follow a different group of people, right? So following people can be a double-edged sword, right? Obviously with comparison, but for me, I find a lot of inspiration outside of the Beachbody Network. I tend to follow a lot of fashion bloggers or just like family bloggers, and I like their topics. And so then it inspires me to spin that off and think about, you know, how that relates to my own life and my niche market's life. Hope that helps. Do you stop inviting to your group on November 9th, your RSVP deadline? No invites in December. Okay, here's a little secret. I never stop inviting. I never stop inviting ever. It's just when I'm presenting a public invite to my social media audience, I need it to be a little bit more clear, right? So that way it's not white noise. If all I did was invite every single day publicly on social media, it would become white noise, right? So for me, I tend to like to prep the invite like on stories, or sometimes in a post too. Like, hey, you guys, I'm going to open up, this is the wording I actually use. I'm going to open up my Fit Camp enrollment this weekend. I might say that on Wednesday, right? So I like prep them a little bit. So if they're interested, I know they're going to come back to my stories or my social media to figure out the details, right? Then the actual invite will be there, the public invite. And then I'll just kind of trickle in some reminders and some deadlines. But then for me, the bulk of the work happens in the personal conversations. But again, I'll remind people of the November 9th deadline, but if they trickle in on the 12th, so be it. And it's fine. That's how I feel, especially in holiday months. I'm fine with it. The only thing is, I don't love people RSVPing late to a group that's already condensed, right? My holiday groups are already only 3 weeks long. So I don't really want them getting their stuff a week and a half into the group, right? So to me, it's like counterproductive. So they're not as excited. So I find there's a lot more success when everyone's got their stuff, they're ready to go, and then they truly give their all for the 3 weeks. So if I can do that in any way, that's what I'm going to focus my energy on. But if there's some stragglers, I will not turn them away. I just will shift my focus probably after that deadline to coaching invites. That's usually what I do. So like I have a hard deadline for Fit Camp because I want them to have their stuff in hand, like their shake or their, you know, bands or whatever it is that they need, so that they can truly have a great day one. That's just how I do it though. Does that make sense? I hope that helps. Okay. Anything else? Okay, you're welcome. I'm sorry this went a little long. I wanted to shove it all in there. So, okay, Sam, for me, this is just my own personal marketing. I'm doing my deadline on the 9th of November for my December group because my December group starts November 30, okay? That if I give a deadline on the 9th, that gives 2 weeks for like shipping, right? Which is plenty of time. Also including like a little bit of a delay maybe for Thanksgiving, you know, holiday shipping delays. So it's just plenty of time, but the 9th is not a hard line. It's the target. So if I have a few people trickling in that week, it's fine because there's still enough time for them to get their stuff before November 30th. But also remember, you guys, I'm planning on not working like in my inbox, like on those days around Thanksgiving. So that's really the reason that we're sort of front loading the work so that everybody can get situated and good to go. Does that make sense? Okay, hopefully it helps. Yes. So what do I have going on? Specifically, it's like the way that the dates worked, you guys, these last few months, my November group is actually starting on October 26th. Just because of the way things worked out for me, that's how I'm doing it. It's not how you have to do it. You can look at your dates and see what works. But for me, my November group is starting on October 26th. That's just what I'm doing. So, because I'm doing a free group in there and there's like some other weird stuff going on. So different stuff, I should say. Okay. All right, you guys, well, I'll put the slides in the group. I hope this helps. I guess if I could give you some specifics in terms of like what to come away with right now, is I would just figure out the mindset blocks first, making sure that you are comfortable and confident talking about joining you even during a holiday season and what you're excited about. Making a decision that Success Club by the 15th is your personal goal. And then trying to figure out, okay, like what does that mean for my business then? When do I need to start inviting? When do I need to have deadlines? When are my groups? That's what, and then you start to pre-plan things out for November and December. That's going to give you the most chance for a great success and still unplug in whatever way you see fit for the holidays. Okay, you guys, you're welcome. Thanks for hopping on with me. I really appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.